What if the most seductive moment of your life already happened and you missed it because you were looking for something louder, something obvious? Seduction doesn't announce itself. It doesn't burst through the door with flashing lights and red lipstick. It's quieter than that, smarter. It lives in the shadows between glances, in the tension of silence, in the shift of her breath when she leans just a little too close. Most men miss it completely. Why? Because we've been trained to look for signs in the obvious texts, compliments, big gestures, while the real seduction plays out in the details. The truth is, women don't seduce with words. They seduce with space, with energy, with how they make you feel in a room without ever touching you. It's a game of perception, not persuasion. A glance that holds 1 second too long. A soft laugh when nothing's that funny. A subtle shift that makes you wonder, did that mean something? Or am I imagining it? And that's exactly the point. Seduction thrives in uncertainty, in the pause between her looking at you and looking away, in the question that keeps echoing in your mind hours after the moment has passed. Most men think seduction is about performance, but the truth, it's about awareness. If you're not emotionally attuned, if you're stuck chasing surface-level signs, you'll never notice the moment she opens the door. You'll walk right past it. But the man who sees the game beneath the surface, he doesn't chase. He leans back and lets her come closer. Because he's not reacting. He's reading. Quietly. Precisely. Seduction isn't noise. It's a whisper. Learn to listen. Have you ever felt a touch so subtle you questioned if it happened, only to realize you've been thinking about it ever since? That's the brilliance of seductive touch. It never shouts. It barely speaks. But it lingers. A brush of her fingers across your arm. Her knee resting a little too long against yours under the table. A light pat on your shoulder that leaves a trail of electricity in its wake. These are not accidents. They're invitations. Silent, strategic, deeply primal. Most men write them off. She's just friendly, they say. But here's the truth. Women don't accidentally touch men they feel nothing for. They touch when they're trying to feel more, when they're trying to see if you'll feel it too. Science backs this up. Touch releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It lowers your guard without you even realizing it. And that's the game. She's not trying to convince your brain, she's awakening your body, creating tension, building craving, all without saying a single word. And the key to knowing its real pattern, if she touches you more than others, if she finds excuses to fix your collar, straighten your shirt, playfully nudge you during a joke, she's watching how you react. It's not about the touch, it's about the response. The Stoic man doesn't flinch, doesn't jump, doesn't overplay. He lets it land, feels the energy, and keeps his center. Because seduction isn't about reacting, it's about reading the moment, and letting her wonder if you felt it too. What if the sound of her voice wasn't just conversation, but a carefully crafted rhythm pulling you deeper without you even realizing it? After the lingering glance and the not-so-accidental touch comes the next move, the shift in her voice. It's subtle, almost invisible to the untrained ear. But once you hear it, you feel it. A woman trying to seduce you will soften her tone, slow her words, and drop her pitch just enough to wrap each sentence in intimacy. It's not just speech, it's sound design. Her voice becomes smoother, warmer, slower, like velvet sliding across skin. She's not just talking to you, she's inviting you closer without moving an inch. And when she starts to mirror your pace, when her rhythm syncs with yours, that's no coincidence. It's vocal chemistry, a subconscious bonding cue that tells your brain, we belong. And if she drops her volume to a whisper, forcing you to lean in, that's strategy. She's closing the distance, not with steps, but with silence. This is where the game goes deeper. Not with eyes or hands, but with presence. And here's where most men blow it. They get excited, they overtalk, they try too hard. But the Stoic man, he listens. He speaks calmly, steadily, without rushing. He matches her intimacy without losing his center. Because he knows her voice is the spell, but his calm is the magnet. Seduction is unfolding not through touch or glance anymore, but breath, tone, silence. And the man who can sit in that silence unshaken becomes unforgettable. Have you ever noticed her biting her lip, twirling her hair, or running her fingers along her neck, and wondered if it meant something, or nothing at all? That's the beauty of her next move, preening. After she's pulled you in with her eyes, touched you accidentally, and drawn you closer with the rhythm of her voice, she starts using her body as a canvas of suggestion. But not in a loud or obvious way. It's in the delicate, almost hypnotic gestures, the soft bite of her lower lip, the slow glide of lip balm across her mouth while you're watching, the casual twirl of hair around her finger, or the sudden sweep that exposes the soft skin of her neck. These aren't meaningless habits. They are ancient signals, instinctive behaviors that women subconsciously use to heighten their femininity and draw attention to their most sensual features. And when these acts happen only when you're around, they're not random. They're calculated. What she's really doing is testing your awareness. She wants to know if you see her, not just her words, but her energy. And when you do, when you notice without reacting like a boy overwhelmed by beauty, but instead hold that gaze with calm, with grounded masculine stillness, that's when she feels the full impact of her own power. Because the Stoic man doesn't chase the bait. He acknowledges it, appreciates it, but he stays centered. And that's what makes her lean in even more. Because to her, you're not just another guy she can affect. You're the one who makes her feel herself more deeply, and that is seductive in itself. Why does it feel so electrifying when she stands just a little too close but never says a word about it? After the eyes, the touch, the voice, and the teasing gestures, she moves in. Not with words, but with space. Seduction isn't just built on sound or sight, it's built on proximity. And when a woman is trying to seduce you, she doesn't ask to get close. She just does. Slowly, naturally, strategically. She steps into your personal bubble not aggressively, but gently so that you don't even notice at first. Then all at once you feel it. Her arm brushes yours when she laughs. Her legs barely graze yours under the table. Her lips linger close when she speaks. You realize that if either of you moved even slightly, your bodies would touch. And that's the point. She's not trying to make a move, she's trying to create tension. And your response is the test. Do you freeze, pull away, or do you hold still grounded in your presence, because a woman will only close that gap with a man who proves he's comfortable with intimacy without forcing it? She's studying your body language, your breath, the way your energy shifts when she steps inside your field. If you stay calm, steady, centered, if you treat the closeness like it's normal, even welcome, you give her permission to keep going. And that's when seduction deepens. Because now it's not just flirtation, it's gravity. Unspoken, magnetic, undeniable. What if her compliment wasn't about your smile, but about how your presence makes her feel something she can't quite explain? By the time she's gazed, touched, whispered, preened, and moved in close, the next move is more personal verbal seduction. But not in the way you'd expect. A woman trying to seduce you won't flood you with generic praise. She'll get specific. She won't just say, "You're handsome." She'll say, "There's something about the way you look at me that makes me forget what I was saying." That's not flattery, it's emotional targeting. She wants you to know she sees you differently, and that she feels something because of you. Her compliments won't be about your clothes or your haircut. They'll be about how your voice sounds when you say her name, how safe she feels when she's near you, or how her day shifts when you enter the room. These are seduction-layered affirmations designed to blur the line between you and how you make her feel. And when she speaks this way, she's testing your self-awareness. She wants to know, do you own your presence, or are you still looking for approval? The Stoic man doesn't absorb compliments with arrogance, nor deflect them with awkwardness. He simply holds them, receives them with quiet appreciation, and keeps his center. That response is magnetic. Because to her, you're not seduced by attention, you're steady in your value. And that steadiness makes her want to keep discovering you. compliment by compliment, layer by layer. Until seduction isn't a game anymore, it's a connection. What if her teasing wasn't meant to push you away, but to pull you into a deeper, more thrilling dance? After the intimate compliments and quiet closeness, the game takes a sharp turn, playful resistance. This is where seduction becomes layered with challenge, and where many men misunderstand the moment entirely. When she flirts, and then pulls back when she mocks your confidence with a sly grin, or questions your charm with a smirk and a glimmer in her eye, she's not rejecting you. She's testing you. It's the ancient push-pull dynamic, a psychological tension that fuels desire. She wants to know, can you handle her edge? Can you stand your ground without cracking? Most men either chase harder or shrink back, both of which break the spell. But the Stoic man, he welcomes it. He smiles calmly when she says, "I don't trust guys like you," and replies, "Good. I'd be worried if you did." No defensiveness, no need to prove himself, just playful poise. And that's exactly what pulls her deeper. Because when a woman sees that she can't shake you, that her teasing only makes you more centered, more composed, that's when she feels the true masculine energy she's craving. This isn't about control. It's about emotional weight. She pushes to see if you're heavy enough to hold her fire without flinching. And when you do, the game changes. Now she's not just flirting, she's investing. Because seduction without challenge is forgettable. But when a man can meet her resistance with grounded playfulness, he becomes unforgettable. What if her most seductive words weren't flirtatious at all, but wrapped in imaginary scenarios that quietly reveal her desire? After the teasing, the challenge, the closeness, and the spark, she moves into the most psychologically intimate layer of seduction, the what-if game. This is where she invites you into her mind, not just her presence. When she says, "What if we had to share a hotel room?" or "What if we got stuck on an island together?" she's not just joking. She's creating a space where you and her exist together alone in a world where normal rules don't apply. It's fantasy dressed as conversation, and behind the playfulness, there's a purpose to see if you'll step into that imagined world with her or shy away. She's already been picturing it. Now she wants to know if you are too. And here's the thing. This stage isn't about seducing with her body, her voice, or her touch anymore. It's about emotional projection. She's testing how your energy fits inside her vision of intimacy. And if you play along, if you lean into the scenario with calm confidence and a spark of curiosity, you create a new tension mental intimacy. That's where the deepest seduction lives. Because now it's not just physical or emotional, it's imaginative. And the man who can hold space for her fantasies without turning them into pressure or awkwardness, he becomes the man she feels safest to explore them with. In that moment, you're no longer just a possibility. You've become her desire made real. What if the final sign wasn't something she did to seduce you, but how she watched to see if you noticed she was doing it at all? Because here's the truth. Seduction isn't just in the glance, the touch, the whisper, or the tease. It's in the intention behind it all. When a woman engages in these subtle signals, lingering eye contact, accidental touch, voice, that softens just for you, shrinking the space between you, playful resistance, fantasy-laced questions, what she's really doing is sending invitations. Not declarations. She's asking silently, "Are you paying attention? Can you read the room? Can you read me?" The most seductive women don't want to spell it out. That kills the magic. They want a man who sees without needing it explained, who can step into the unspoken tension with calm certainty and make her feel like he's been waiting there all along. Because when you recognize the signs not with ego or desperation, but with quiet understanding, you shift the entire dynamic. You become the man who isn't just physically confident, but psychologically present. You don't chase, you respond, you don't pounce, you invite. And in that space between awareness and restraint, seduction evolves into something far more powerful: mutual tension. That's what makes a woman feel truly seen, desired, and safe enough to let the walls fall completely. Because in the end, seduction isn't just what she does, it's what you understand. And the man who understands her without her needing to say a word, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. That's the man she wants. What if I told you that every seductive move she makes, every glance, every touch, every playful tease is never random, but part of a silent, strategic dance she hopes you'll learn to lead? Because here's the secret. Most men never realize in the world of seduction nothing is accidental. Every flicker of her eyes, every whisper-soft shift in tone, every imagined what-if is a calculated step in a deeper psychological rhythm. Women don't seduce by chance, they seduce by design. Whether consciously or instinctively, they test your awareness, your emotional presence, and your ability to stay composed when the air between you starts to crackle. And most men, they miss the entire performance. They're too busy reacting, too distracted, looking for clear signs to understand the beauty of the unspoken. But the Stoic man, the grounded, self-mastered man, he sees it all. He doesn't rush. He doesn't stumble over his desire. He simply recognizes the moment for what it is and lets the tension build. Because he knows that seduction isn't about chasing pleasure, it's about commanding presence. And when a woman feels that, when she senses that you're aware but unshaken, confident but not needy, intrigued but not impulsive, that's when the game is over. You're no longer just someone she flirts with. You're the one she can't stop thinking about, the one she imagines even when you're not there. Because you didn't just see her signs, you understood her. And that is the deepest seduction of all. The true art of connection in life, whether in love, relationships, or everyday presence, doesn't lie in saying the right words, but in learning to read what's not being said. The quiet glances, the subtle shifts in tone, the spaces between words, these are the moments where real intimacy lives. In a world addicted to noise and instant reactions, the man who slows down, observes with depth, and responds with intention becomes rare and unforgettable. This lesson extends far beyond seduction. It's about cultivating emotional intelligence, self-mastery, and awareness in every area of life. When you learn to listen without needing to speak, to recognize the energy in a room without trying to dominate it, you become someone others naturally lean into, someone they feel safe with, seen by, and drawn to. The message is simple but powerful. Slow down. Pay attention. Don't just chase connection, create presence. Because the strongest relationships, romantic, personal, or professional, are built not on performance, but on perception. And the more you understand the silent language of others, the more peace, respect, and fulfillment you'll quietly begin to attract. Not by force, but by being deeply in tune with yourself and with them.